Okie dokie. G'day everyone, this is Rangadad. This is not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. Do this most days just to get ideas straight in my head and get them out there. Makes me more accountable and a better trader when I do it. So let's get started. Bitcoin is being pretty indecisive at the moment again. Just a minute ago, it was down around here, and it just had a little bounce up. Now, I'm still eyeing this off as a target for a sweep. It would make a lot of sense to me for it to come to this level, 61.5 roughly. It just doesn't seem to want to do it. It just keeps finding support at this level here, about the 61,800 roughly, which doesn't make a lot of sense at the moment. So I think this little bounce that we're having at the moment is potentially gonna fail. Just be another sort of retest up into the 50 EMA. That would seem logical, but it's done it on pretty decent volume. It's just you're going to be left with a vector candle down here, which typically we don't like to see. I think even on the 5-minute, yeah, I'd say if this breaks through the 62,300 level, then I suspect the turnaround will be at 62,471. I mean, it's basically looking like the same thing it just did there overnight. Coming off, is this the 5-minute? Let's just go. Change that to 3. So this will be, that's the 1-hour stochastic momentum. That's the 15-minute stochastic momentum. That's the 5-minute stochastic momentum. That's actually interesting. If we do sweep, it needs to be relatively soon, I think. Otherwise, all these momentums are looking like they're ready to reset to the upside. So upside does look kind of more likely in the short to medium term, probably today, really. I mean, this is kind of aggressive. Like it's looks like a fairly aggressive move. Just get this indicator. Don't worry about the buy sell signals. Still working on that. Obviously, that was a bit of a dirty move though on behalf of Wall Street. So yeah, look, I mean, we've recovered the majority of this vector here. That's a pretty major turnaround. Again, 62,400 is a good point for a bounce back down. At the moment, it is still bearish overall, the trend. But it wouldn't surprise me if we're finding a bit of a base around here. The reason why I was thinking it needs to go a little bit further, although, yeah, open interest is still going up. This here is looking more like a little local top at the moment. On the 5 minute anyway. 15 minute, not so much, but reasonable. At least for a little one. So this here's a good part of the reason why I think we need to go a little bit lower. Down into the 61 sort of 400 range would be a good level. I think that would be just that one move down. And if we did that in the next hour or two, then finding a base there and starting to move up would look a lot better on the daily rather than closing down around there. This is another big part of the reason. You can see here, we swept that liquidity last night. That was a bit of a stop run by the look of it. Interestingly, I was watching Crown's video last night. I think his average daily ranges said that I think it was just over 63K was the potential for the average daily range to the upside. It smashed that and turned around. And I think it was somewhere around the 61K mark was the average to the downside. Tuesday does have a higher proportion of days closing red for Bitcoin this year. So don't be surprised if we do close red. It's just this whole way along. It's like it's coiling for a move. At the moment, the move looks more likely to be to the upside. It's just whether we take this first. And I really think it, given how close it is, I'm surprised it didn't take it this morning like that. 61,850. That candle there got lower than that, didn't it? No. Yeah, it did. 61,843. Anyway, there's obviously still some liquidity there. It'll probably get down to the 61. I'd probably even suspect it goes down to 61.5. I don't think it needs to take much of this, but the thing we've got to be careful of is, if it does go much further than 61,500, then it's potentially going to really drop to 61.2. That isn't a bad level either. We've still got a lot of support to go through. So this level here, 61,400, to wick through that and come back up, close on that. If we close above these two EMAs today, then I'll still be postured to the bull side, really. I'll just see this as a temporary little sort of pullback. Global liquidity is dropping a little bit, but generally it's still quite high. Stochastic momentum hasn't crossed to the downside either, so it's flattened off a lot. And I think even if we close below here, I think it'll still be above. It'll be pretty close anyway. So BBWP still hasn't crossed below the signal line either. Yeah, kind of in no man's land, but I think it's just trying to sweep some liquidity, just gather some liquidity here before ripping to the upside. It's doing a pretty good job of making people think that it's going short. Getting a fair bit of liquidity in here for the shorts. It's just, yeah, this area here kind of still concerns me. And if we do, again, that's still not the end of the world, because that level is above here. It's above the 200 EMA. So not that it would look like it would look pretty bad if we come down and hit the 200 EMA. That would probably bring us back into the bearish control zone, and it would probably happen over the next couple of days. You'd be looking for a bounce around sort of this trend line and the 200 EMA. Totally possible. There's a lot of liquidity down there. 57K is still in play. If we close above yesterday's candle, then 57 I would think is no longer in play for at least a few weeks. And to be honest with you, I'd be expecting to break through the 67K mark. Over time. So October's not cancelled yet. It's still early in the month. Typically, it's around this time that October finds its lows. So at the moment, the October low is, I think it's either that one there, 59,952, no, 59,840 on the 3rd of October, which would be pretty well in line with most Octobers. They find the lows pretty early on. So, it's kind of just decision time for Bitcoin. Breaks, like daily closes below the 200 EMA, I'd be pretty concerned, to be honest. I think then you will see 57K, but you'll probably see a turnaround around that 57K mark. But yeah, for the time being, this here is suggesting we're getting ready to go on a bit of a run to the upside. It'll probably struggle around this level here, around the 62.4. So I think a bit of a pullback and then a go again. I'd like to see this 5-minute vector recovered, just because it's on the 15 as well. Before thinking that it was actually going to really rip. Yeah. So just the 15-minute. Let's go that to 4 and that to 16. So that gives you the hourly and the 4-hourly momentum. So the 4-hourly is still sort of coming down. Not too much of an issue when you're dealing with a 15-minute time frame, but just know that the 4-hourly momentum is headed down. But in the meantime, I think it looks like a little bit of a reprieve is on the cards. 15-minute, like you can stay below the bearish control zone for a while though. So, and even when it's on the way up, you can still come down. Obviously, it's a somewhat of a lagging indicator. So let's go 4-day period. So yeah, 15 minutes probably suggesting there could still be a little bit more downside. Although medium term's already turned around a little bit. Very much depends on the period that you use. As you can see, like with the longer time frame rolling over here, it tends to give you an overall bias. As you can see here, it was low as we were bottoming and then moving to the upside as we're coming out of it. So that's sort of as basic as it gets with momentum, is to just look for those shifts and then look for, I guess, buying opportunities when the long term is low, and selling opportunities when it's high. These here where it's crossing below are pretty good selling opportunities. take profit when it's somewhere down here. If you want a simple way to trade, that's about as simple as it gets. Just it's hard to program this in. I try and use momentum in bots, but yeah, it's mixed results. They're okay for Confluence. All right, let's have a look at the rest of the market. See what happened today. Ooh, we had a pump today. Surprised Bitcoin didn't go with it. Yeah, that's a decent pump too. Interesting. Coming off lows. What sort of news did we get? My keyboard has been so annoying lately. All right, so trade balance isn't great. Average cash, consumer credit is actually down. That's interesting. It hasn't been a hell of a lot of news today. Small business index, Oof. Looks like New Zealand's expecting a big rate cut today. Today in the future for the US anyway. Economic optimism is down. They're kind of just middling. Yeah, it's a bit meh. Surprised there was such a good day on the markets. They're obviously reacting to something else. Anyway, NASDAQ, pretty good move. Obviously needs to break this higher, this candle here to really go on a run. But momentum is turning around. If we can have another up day, then you'll probably see BBWP increasing at the same time as momentum's heading up. Look, yeah. So with the daily, I'd tend to use a 10 period SMI for the momentum. Just seems to react a bit better. S&P 500. Let's use the SPY. Doesn't look like it wants to do my LARP line. I mean, it's resetting on the BBWP as well. Not huge volume today, which isn't great. You'd want to see more of an upside move on volume. I think the market's just waiting. I wonder if it's waiting for the Tesla stuff. So RSP hasn't really gone with it as much either. So just be a little careful there. It looks like potentially a bit of a fake out just to suck some liquidity in. Could be options related too. So IWM is pretty well reset BBWP as well, and momentum is quite low. So IWM could be a runner. XLI's stayed really quite high, hasn't it? Still in the bullish control zone. and BBWP is pretty well reset. So this could go either way. A run up on industrials would be interesting. Don't see that as being the logical outcome, but XLY XLP is kind of gone with the market today, which suggests there is a little bit of strength to the move. KRE still above our trend line, which is good. Good for the bulls. Home construction, a little bit of a bounce there. It's still not any super levels. Oh, I think I just saw the mozzie that's been eating me in my office lately. DJR Gold is seemingly moving to the upside in a pretty decent way. So for the time being, it looks like the market thinks we're out of the woods. We haven't had any major crash. VIX has kind of come to the same level and bounced down. Nothing's really showing up as broken yet. So the market seems to have decided that that's enough of a pullback. But just when you think that, you've got to be pretty careful. I think the 10th, just go back to that Forex calendar. So the 10th FOMC meeting minutes are probably going to be pretty critical. And core CPI and that. So I think the market's probably going to go a little bit sideways into this. What you kind of want to see is actually you want to see CPI come down with the forecast. You want to see actually, like, if Bitcoin reset around the same time, so if Bitcoin was hitting key levels, so basically the next 2 days, day and a half, if Bitcoin does come down and hits either this level here or 200 EMA or something, if it's hitting those levels when the FOMC, when the CPI data and the FOMC minutes come out, then that could be the catalyst that you need to actually bounce the upside. Could also be the catalyst that brings everything tumbling down. So I think normally, it's a case of show me the charts and I'll tell you the news, but it just seems everyone's hanging on these sort of things lately, and they do seem to be moving the markets. So yeah, we want to see low inflation still, because low inflation means they can still keep cutting the interest rates. If you start to see a pop in CPI, then, or even unemployment claims, sorry, you do actually want to see unemployment claims going up, because that means they have something to like a reason to reduce the interest rates. So yeah, we could get a pretty flat bouncy couple of days into this. So it's going to be a short time frame thing, I think. So that's pretty well my read at the moment. Let's have a quick look at some of these. Look at that for a move. What was it overall? 10% nearly. Today will be an interesting one on the Chinese market. Probably expect a bit of a dead cat bounce, but I still would expect this to come into that sort of level. Green box is the target. I might actually have to reopen my Tiger Broker account, start trading a few of the regular stocks as well. They tend to behave a little bit better. UK 100, that's actually a fair drop on UK 100 there. This, I'm not even going to pay attention to that. That's inconsequential at this stage. Japanese market is still trying to push a little bit higher. TLT, it's interesting, fell through that support but closed above. There was a big dark pool transaction down around this low here yesterday. So I am expecting this to be the bottom for TLT for the time being. High yield. It's a good day. It kind of agrees with what the market's done. Wouldn't be a bad level for high yield to bounce as well. So two-year, 10-year hasn't reinverted yet. Wouldn't surprise me if it does. I've mentioned that before. Realistically, the timer has started. It's just a matter of when the bomb's going to go off. So typically we're still 3+ months away from everything falling apart. Copper has nearly hit our pullback area. To be honest with you, it may come a little deeper than that even, just because of this level here. Don't normally like doing this, but I probably would reduce that. Oops. Anyway, probably bring that down into the 618 level. Momentum has it crossed yesterday as well, so that was a pretty good signal for downside today. Same deal with gold. I thought I drew a target for gold, but I think realistically, gold target is definitely in here somewhere. Probably be looking to buy somewhere that gets back down into there. I haven't sold any of mine up here. It's a long-term hold in my retirement account, so I think I got in under 2,300 most of it. Silver, yeah, decent pullback as well. I'll probably add a bit more to silver when it comes down. Oil, let's see if it does what we thought. At this stage, it is playing out. 200 EMA was a level. Just change that to SMA. Oh. Did that not change? Oh, no, it actually, it's spot on the SMA. So you got to be a little bit careful with traditional markets. The EMA and the SMA can be a little bit different, and most traditional markets will use the SMA levels rather than EMA. So again, treat them as ranges, as regions for targets, but either way, in this case, are pretty close. So yeah, that's a pretty good rejection off that level. Looking for it to come back into about $70, $71 before another bounce. Just have a quick look on. Let's go top to bottom. Yeah. So the 618 level, I think, is a pretty good level there. It's a very sharp drop though, so might have a little dead cat bounce on that as well. Dixie. Dixie's struggling on the 100 EMA. Let's see what the. Yeah. 200's fair way away. 103.3. I still kind of expect that to be a better resistance level than the 100. It is in this chunky bit of volume though, so look, either way, the fact that Dixie's high and stocks are coming down is kind of playing out like it should. Aussie dollar might be finding a little bit of a base here. Euro, yeah, I mean, probably move that into the SMA area rather than the EMA. Remember to change that back before I forget. Brazilians pulling back as well. Money supply is still going up. Still some liquidity in there. These things aren't changing. I'm gonna yeah. Wonder how often they publish that data. I'll have to look into that. I do that every day. But anyway, percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average. I'm still expecting this to come back. So I think more downside overall on the market is to be expected, which would tie in with Bitcoin coming back a little bit as well. But yeah, in fact, global liquidity is quite high. Nvidia's had a breakout. That's interesting. Kind of want that to come back and retest. Retest of this channel, or this wedge here, and then a move forward would be pretty bullish for the markets, I would think, if the biggest stock does it. Ooh. All right. Let's have a quick look at BTC longs. Yeah, it's still trudging up. I wouldn't say there's a super amount of buyers here. I think they're waiting for a bit more of a dip. So that's just something to keep in mind. That tends to be the pattern that we've been going through. People keep buying even as it's going up, and then as it comes down, it wipes a few longs out, but then around the bottom, people start to buy again. So haven't really seen that yet. So just again, keep that in mind that we could see that 200 EMA hit on Bitcoin. Shorts are giving us nothing. So Ethereum hit our box, just tapped into it and moved away. It looks like it wants to roll over and come back into it again. Momentum is moving to the upside, but it's not quite out of the bearish control zone yet. Quick look at CME. So CME looks set to close lower for the day. 62.3, 62.4. I mean, if it comes down to 61.3, that wouldn't be a bad level either. Still, momentum hasn't crossed the upside on CME yet. BBWP is resetting, so again, it's suggesting another couple of days of down to me. Overall, downside postured, really looking for a bounce around the 200 EMA or the value area low. 60,500 would pick up a lot of like a fair chunk of liquidity on the heat maps. Although it wicks down to the 59,500 level are probably to be expected. I think if we look a bit further back, I mean, that would get most of it. Obviously, we've still got that 57 level, which I'm still cautious about, but for the time being, I'd be pretty bullish if we found a bounce around here or higher. Okay. Definitely that 61 level is a pretty good one though. Okay. That'll do for today, I think. I'll catch you tomorrow. Nothing else that I can think of, but yeah, just look for shorter time frame turnarounds. And this one is probably still bearish, but showing signs of a more substantial bounce here. Yeah, even if we sort of close up around here somewhere, up around the 62.5, I wouldn't be thinking that was a full breakout to the upside. 200 EMA on the 15-minute will be a pretty critical zone to hold. If we can hold that, then upside is more likely. But yeah, I'm expecting probably chop for the next day and a half, and then FOMC will choose the direction. But yeah, I honestly thought this day was going to be the breakout, or show us the way, but the closure yesterday just below that 20 EMA was a little bit nasty. Yeah, just sideways bullshit. Good luck with it. Catches.